And then give you 1 second just so I can get my computer all set up because as soon as I hit record, everything changes up for me. Okay, so I'm just gonna start now. So, hello, my name is Michelle. Can I ask what your preferred name would be?
Nicole.
Nicole. It's very nice to meet you, Nicole. Just before we begin, I want to go over a couple of things, such as introducing myself, telling you a little bit about what you can really expect from this session, and going over confidentiality. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Awesome. So, like I mentioned before, my name is Michelle, and I am currently a student working through the Mental Health and Addictions program at Fanshawe College. I really appreciate you meeting with me today just because I know these kind of conversations can sometimes be not the easiest. Regarding what you can expect from the session, I wanted to let you know that this space is for you to talk about and share whatever you want to and feel comfortable with doing so. And we'll be going at your pace, so just keep that in mind. During this session, my goal is just to help is just to understand you and what is important to you and how we can kind of work together going forward. When discussing confidentiality in a counseling session like this, it just means that what you share with me is private and it stays between both of us unless there's a safety concern, such as someone is in danger or at risk. You disclose information regarding child abuse or neglect, or a court of law is requiring information. With all this being said, do you have any questions for me regarding the information that I just shared, or just kind of in general?
No, I don't think so. I think that makes sense.
Okay. So, Nicole, can I ask you, what would you like to talk about today? What brought you in?
Well, I am in college right now and I am struggling to find time to balance school, work, and taking care of myself. And I'm hoping to kind of come up with a plan on what I can do to better manage those things.
Can you tell me more about, your school and self-care right now that you're doing?
Yeah, so right now, between school and work, I'm working like 50 hours a week at least, not including assignments and whatever else that I have to do in between. So group projects, meetings, discussions, things like that. In terms of self-care, I don't really know where to start. Like it's winter now, so it's been hard to get outside as much as I would love the fresh air. So really all I do is take a warm shower and try to sleep when I can, but really I'm only sleeping like 6 hours a night. So I'm feeling really tired throughout the day, and then I just don't know how to get started.
Okay. So, would you say that maybe some stress that you're feeling from school is also the cause to why your self-care might be not the best at the current moment?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And I know you said that currently, just because of the weather and everything outside, that you haven't been able to really go out, and do things for yourself. But when the weather is nice, what does your normal self-care look like?
I usually try to at least go for a walk around the block just to get some
Okay.
fresh air, but the sidewalks aren't very well maintained where I live, so it's really not safe to be out there walking. I did try, but then I slipped and fell.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. So, tell me more about school and what's really it sounds like you're very stressed with school, so can you tell me a little bit more about what's making you feel so stressed about school?
Yeah, the I would say like the group work is hard to manage, like scheduling all the different meetings with people and everyone has different availability and working their own part-time or full-time jobs. Some people have kids. So it just feels like I'm constantly messaging people about trying to schedule things and I'm letting them down if I have to reschedule or just struggling to kind of connect with people.
It sounds like you're really taking on kind of a leading aspect because you're the one who's really trying to work around everyone's schedules and messaging out and being that kind of leader in most of your groups. Can you? tell me a little bit more about that and how you feel about that?
Yeah, I would say that um, I'm just an anxious person, so I like to schedule those things ahead of time as much as possible. So it's not that other people aren't reaching out. I just oftentimes want to reach out like weeks in advance to get it scheduled so that I don't have to think about it. But for other people, maybe they're still waiting on their work schedule or their school schedule with other groups and they're just not ready to book it yet. But I'm anxious to get that out of the way and schedule it.
Okay. And you say that you're anxious. Has that been something that you've dealt with kind of like your whole life, or is that just kind of something new that's come up that you've been in school?
Just new now that I'm trying to juggle everything.
Okay. And is that just with school, or is that also like now leading into your personal life and things like that?
It's mostly just school. I find it's really hard to control everything when I have so many group projects and rely on other people. Whereas normally I just want to work ahead and get things done as much as possible. Now I'm being forced to kind of slow down and wait for others, which can be a hard adjustment for me.
A hard adjustment for you. It sounds kind of like, oh goodness, how do I want to phrase this? It sounds like you're a very prepared person. And now that you are doing group work and you have to wait for other people's schedules, that does bring up a lot of anxiety, and I can really see where that might come from. Um, Goodness, how do I want to phrase this? I'm so sorry. Uh, like how long?
Don't be.
Sorry. How I don't know. I know the question I want to ask, but I can't think of how I want to really go about saying it. Um, Goodness. Okay. Can you tell me more about kind of what's going on in your personal life with managing the stress? I know you mentioned how like you're having difficulty sleeping. Is there anything else along with that?
Yeah. No, I feel like things are going pretty well in my personal life. It's just trying to find the time. I feel like I don't have enough hours in the day to work and do school and still f feel like find time to do things for myself.
And what have you been doing so far to manage both school and your personal life?
Just taking time away from my sleep, sleeping less than I'm used to in an attempt to get everything done.
It kind of sounds a little bit like you're almost self-sacrificing, your self-care and your sleep in order for you to be able to meet deadlines and best accommodate your peers. And it sounds a bit like that's a lot of
Mhm.
your anxiety that's also playing a role in that. Would you say that's fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's a really good summary.
Yeah. Um, so bad. Sorry. How much time, this is just a kind of question that I wanted to ask. How much time do you say that you spend when you're not in school thinking about school and because of the anxiety that you have?
Um, I mean, it's definitely something I want to work on, but I don't feel like it's super detrimental at this point or like affecting me extremely negatively. I'm just trying to be optimistic and stay ahead of it so that it doesn't
Yeah.
get worse. But I don't feel like I'm really drowning in it, if that makes sense. I more so am just recognizing that this is hard and I want to get ahead before it becomes a serious problem.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you came to counseling because you kind of wanted to make a plan for how you could possibly improve. Um, do you have any ideas of what you think you might benefit from putting into your life? Uh,
Mhm. Well, I was hoping that counseling would give me the opportunity to have somebody to keep me accountable and check in with. So maybe creating a goal of self-care and then being able to check in with you to make sure that I'm holding myself accountable. And then if I'm not maintaining or meeting those goals or expectations, we could work together to change it.
Okay. And I really appreciate that you're sharing a lot about your self-care. Um, and I guess just looking at it right now, knowing that you can't go outside and go for those walks like you normally have because of, the sidewalks not being plowed and things like that, what are some things that you think that you could do currently, mainly being inside, besides, you mentioned taking those showers, and maybe getting a bit more sleep that would help you and be beneficial towards your self-care?
Well, I was thinking that I could start to use the treadmill that we have in the basement,
Okay.
and I could set up my laptop nearby on the table so that I could watch a lecture while I do it. That way, I'm doing two things at once, like and it would be hard for me to be exercising guilt-free, feeling like there's so many other things I need to do. But if I'm able to just listen to the lecture while walking, it seems like it could be a good compromise.
Okay. And you mentioned I'm just picked up on this, sorry. You said something about being guilt-free. Tell me more about what you mean by that.
So I feel like right now, school and work are the two things that are mandatory. Like I need to put as much time and effort into those, whereas exercise feels like it's the third priority. So to just exercise, I might feel guilty or like I'm mismanaging my time. Whereas if I were to multitask and walk on the treadmill while instead of listening to music or a show, listening to my lecture, I think that it would just make me feel better about what I'm doing and how productive I'm being.
Okay. So it sounds a little bit like to me that a lot of you definitely want to participate in self-care, but it doesn't seem as fulfilling if you aren't also doing something productive. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just feel like it's a good way to compromise right now and like realistically fit it in
Okay.
without it impacting my sleep or taking away from something else. Because usually I would be listening to music or watching a reality TV show while I walk on the treadmill. But this feels like a good way to kind of think outside the box about how I can use that time to listen to something productive.
Yeah. And you've told me a bit about the stress that's going on with school and a little bit about how you want to improve your self-care. Can you tell me a little bit about how your work is also maybe causing some of this stress that you're feeling?
Yeah, I just think like I have to work a certain amount of hours so that I can maintain some of like my bills and things that I have to pay for. So again, it's just a non-negotiable. I have to work, a certain amount of hours each week, and I can't really be super flexible on that because I have to pay for schooling and things like that. But my job itself is a positive place for me. I enjoy it. I have good relationships with my coworkers, so it's definitely positive. It's just more so the timing required to be there each week.
Well, I'm very happy that that seems like a very positive place for you, and that you feel a little, like at least a little bit supported. I am just being a little bit mindful of our time, so I do have to wind down the session now.
Yeah.
But it really sounds like you're facing a lot of anxiousness and stress just because of school is a big stressor for you. Um, just because of group assignments, and there seems to be a lot of assignments going on, and then along with that you're dealing with your personal life and also your work does sound like a very good positive thing, which is very good for I think me to hear and also for you to be experiencing. um but along with that, the stress and kind of anxiousness that you're feeling because of, the balancing of time, and your schoolwork and having to, work in groups and rely on
Mhm.
a little bit of other people, and their schedules is causing, lack of sleep and kind of that little bit of decline in your self-care. Um, so I think. if you were open to maybe having another session next time we could talk about and maybe start a plan to really figure out how we can move forward with maybe promoting more self-care. I know you talked about maybe going on the treadmill, but also listening to a lecture, and maybe just discussing more options with those, especially self-care things, because it is very important for you to take care of yourself, especially during times when, our normal routines maybe get thrown off, such as like going for walks because of the snow and things like that. Um,
Yeah,
does that sound fair to say?
absolutely. That sounds like a good plan, and I think that summarizes what I have been concerned about.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing with me today once again. Like I said before, I know that these conversations can sometimes not be the very easiest. Um, and I
Yeah.
look forward to potentially seeing you again in the future.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and for taking the time to meet with me today.
Awesome. Well, Nicole, I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.